Hi everyone, I'm Scott and welcome to another episode of The Unlikely Beak. So the day has finally come to pick up the Nucs, but it's really early and we have to drive super far, so let's get going. So frustrating. It's so windy. I cannot get away from the wind anywhere, so I'm filming in the car. Okay, so we had a really long drive today, down to Maryland, back up into Pennsylvania, and I had to get up at like 6 a.m. to do it because when you're picking up a package, it doesn't really matter when you're picking that up because those bees are contained within the box, right? They've been in there for probably a couple of days. The queen is in there with them. Everything is kind of self-contained and they have no idea where they are or where they have probably even been. So it's pretty simple. And of course, I'm sure you've seen either my video or one of the thousands of other videos about installing a package. So when you pick up a nuc, though, it's a little bit different because a nuc is typically made up, a week or two in advance from an existing colony that had a really big population, so it could kind of afford to give up a bunch of bees. And they're already oriented to the queen that's in there, so she's not in a cage or anything. And it's essentially a small little beehive that is already an established colony. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove these boxes, leave the bottom boards, and just put the nuc boxes down on those locations, leave them there until tomorrow. I'll come back. By then they should be oriented, and then we'll get them moved over into these boxes. As you can see here, I've opened up their entrance and they've already come out, checking it out. Pretty soon here they'll be doing orientation flights. As you can see here, the boxes are basically sitting on the bottom boards that the permanent hive boxes will be on here in a couple of days. I think I have a bee down my boot. But anyway, as I had mentioned before, I'll be back in a day or two to put the boxes back in these locations. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours now since we brought the nucs here to more or less just orient to their new location. So I'm gonna finish getting suited up here and we'll get these nucs moved into bigger boxes. unless we have to relight our smoker. I told everyone, I'm terrible at keeping my smoker lit. So as you can see, just 5 frames of bees in there. So now I'm gonna be using a frame grabber. I don't really like these things too much, but in a situation like this, it's just easier to use these. So in this one here, I did my best to try to spot the queen, and most of the frames had a ton of bees on them, so I just could not spot her. But as I look here on the landing board, there are quite a few bees here all fanning. So that says to me that she is likely to be in there, because they just don't do that unless she is. You can see here on the back, there are also some that are fanning, and that is a really good indication that she is in there. So there you go. They are moved from the nuke boxes into their permanent homes. Of course, the boxes were at the same space for about a little more than 24 hours. That gives them time to lock their bee GPS into that location, so it will be pretty easy for them to find. Although the box looks a little different, they'll figure that out pretty quickly. So after we finished the nuke transfer to the standard hive bodies, we got into the Rockstar hive, or hive 1 here, and we found some unfortunate evidence in there. I could not find any eggs. I found very little larvae and some capped brood, but I could not find any eggs anywhere. And that, I went through all 3 boxes, and they are consistently honey-bound with lots of pollen, but no eggs. I also could not find any evidence of a queen cell or swarm cell that is usually left over. Now, they do eventually take them down, but not that fast. So I should have been able to find the remnants of a swarm cell or something in there, which I also did not find. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on. There is a massive population of bees in there, though, which is not consistent with a swarm, because, you know, a lot of the bees leave, and you usually find a significantly lower number of bees in a colony that has just swarmed. But I definitely did not find any eggs, so there is not a laying queen in there right now, but there could be a virgin queen in there. So we just gotta kind of play that one out a little bit. So in the meantime, because they have so much honey in there, I gave them a second super of just foundation. We'll see if they are able to draw that out. They did a fantastic job with the first super, and it's only been a couple of weeks. So we'll see, you know, what happens in there or whatever. But otherwise, everything else seems to be okay. My 2 April 20th packages, the queen is in there. I did spot her in both colonies, and she is laying. There are eggs in there, but they're just really slow, and they're not great comb builders either. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on with them either. So this has been another episode of The Unlikely Beak. We really appreciate your support, appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you next time.